Alright, welcome to the Daily English Show. Today a friend came to visit and I asked him if he'd like to do an interview and be a guest on the Daily English Show. And since he was already sitting on the yellow couch, he couldn't really escape. Christopher is from Seattle in the United States and he's the first real-life American I've seen since the election. So I asked him what he thought about Obama's victory.
I'm really happy that Obama won. I think McCain would have been a fine president. Either candidate would have been a marked improvement over the last 8 years. But I was really happy to see Obama elected. His politics are closer to mine than McCain's. Yeah, and I think it's I think it marks a new direction for for the American government, and also it'll make it a lot easier as an American to live overseas because for better or worse, the president represents all of us as Americans. And when I was being represented by Bush, I was not the most popular person at the party.
Kia ora. In Stick News today, New Zealand has a new government and a new Prime Minister.
Aotearoa is a small country in the South Pacific. Every 3 years the country has a general election. The latest election was held on Saturday, and now there's a new government. According to a column in a newspaper called the Herald Sun, National managed to defeat Labour in the election without offering any major policy differences. The article said New Zealanders voted for change with all the reasoning power of a doped slug. The new Prime Minister is John Key. The article described Key as a smug squillionaire who beamed with self-importance during his victory speech and told a story about how he had been a poor little boy who became very, very rich all on his own as an individual. John Key made his millions working as an investment banker for Merrill Lynch, where co-workers called him the smiling assassin.
And that was Stick News for Monday the 10th of November. Kia ora. When did you come to Japan? You taught at a language school when you first moved here. Did you enjoy that? So when you first came to Japan, you couldn't speak any Japanese? What did you do to improve your Japanese once you came here? What do you do now? What are your favourite websites? Do you have any advice for people who are learning English? Why did you decide to study Japanese at university?
I first came to Japan in 2000, just to visit, but I came back to live in 2002, and I've been here more or less ever since. Yeah, it was nice. It was actually it was a good introduction, I think, to Japan, just because right away you get to meet a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life, and they all have they'll have some English ability. I didn't have much of a Japanese ability at the time, so. Well, actually, it's funny. I studied Japanese at university, but so I could read and write pretty well. I mean, not perfectly, but I knew a lot of kanji and stuff. But I couldn't order an ice cream cone in Japanese. Conversation was not my strong point. So. Well, I made a lot of Japanese friends, which is really easy to do. Great people here, and I spent a lot of time studying. My first year or two. I haven't studied recently, but the first year or two I spent a lot of time studying, and yeah, I did. And also, yeah, the studies I did in college definitely helped me to improve faster, probably than average. So yeah. Basically, I do systems development, web applications, internet media, mostly internet-related technology development, things like that. Yeah, I run a website for people who live in and around Kuchan, called the Ku Channel. You know, I'm happy that a few people are using that. A couple of local companies have hired me to help them implement web applications, like reservation systems, just standard websites, advertising their properties or their services. So I guess I think I spend most of my time on Slate.com, which is a sort of like news commentary coming out of the States. I also like The Onion. It's really dry humor. It's kind of an interesting concept. They take a headline and then they write the story. So they just distribute headlines to their staff, and their staff take some crazy headline and then just make an entire story out of it. And yeah, pretty dry, but always amusing. I think it's just important not to be nervous. I think it's important to, just get out there and use it. Well, of course, study, especially initially, because you need those building blocks in order to really fully comprehend a new language, and also the ties that culture has with language as well. I think it's hard to learn a language if you don't immerse yourself in the culture a little bit. I know that for me in Japanese there was a lot of concepts, a lot of words, and a lot of grammar and a lot of sayings that I would not have understood if I didn't have a more in-depth understanding of the culture. Yeah, I know people ask me that question a lot. I studied French. I studied French in high school, and I didn't remember much of it. And I don't know. I had a lot of Japanese American friends. There's a lot of Japanese Americans in Seattle. In fact, there's a lot of Japanese, both immigrants and tourists that come to Seattle. There's a lot of connections between where I grew up in Japan, and so it just kind of seemed like natural to want to study Japanese. When I chose to study it, I had no idea that I'd end up living here for 6 years or more, or settling here, which might be the case. So, but in retrospect, I don't know, maybe it was just fate.
True or false? Christopher is from Seattle. True. He said that when Bush was representing America, he was very popular at parties. False. One of his favorite websites is called The Garlic. False. He studied Japanese at university. True. He said he studied Italian at high school. False.
And that was the Daily Englisher. See you tomorrow. Bye.